Let's talk about the first SpongeBob SquarePants movie, the 2004 one that went on to be a massive hit with fans. This movie was huge back in the day. Now there's some really cool facts and Easter eggs I want to talk about here, but let me give you guys some context. This movie sends SpongeBob and Patrick on a quest to retrieve King Neptune's stolen crown, and this needs to be done to save Mr. Krabs, who's been frozen. Along the way, we meet Neptune's daughter, Mindy, and the villainous hitman, Dennis. But one thing that really puzzled viewers at the time was King Neptune himself. Longtime fans knew King Neptune from the TV series, where he first appeared in the season 1 episode Neptune's Spatula. A really good episode, just say.
2 challenges.
Only 2.
3 challenges.
3?
Enough!
We'll settle for 1.
Yet in the movie, he looked and acted completely different from what we've seen in Neptune's Spatula. This redesign wasn't just a random decision though. It's actually connected to the behind-the-scenes negotiations and had a long-lasting effect on the SpongeBob universe, so let's dive into this. Back in the TV show, King Neptune was a green-skinned, muscular deity with flowing orange hair and a booming voice. Very much a god of the sea. Like, I definitely wouldn't mess with him. But in that 2004 movie, Neptune is bald, with a completely different face and physique, and a far goofier personality.
You go to Shell City?
If we look at them side by side, we can see that these are almost 2 completely different characters. And it begs the question, why the drastic change? Well, according to the SpongeBob production team, this redesign was done for legal and marketing reasons. It was done for money. To help convince Paramount Pictures to help fund the film, Nickelodeon agreed to create some new characters exclusive to the movie, and Paramount would basically co-own these characters, enabling Paramount to profit from the movie's specific merchandise. It's a very common thing. Essentially, the movie version of Neptune, along with new characters like Princess Mindy and Dennis, as I mentioned before, and this was done so Paramount could make toys and video games without sharing rights. For years after the movie's release, fans noticed that Neptune's movie design never appeared within the TV show. In fact, after the movie aired, the series quietly reverted to the original King Neptune design. For example, in the season 4 episode Krusty Towers, we can see this portrait right here on the hotel wall, which shows Neptune in his classic design, completely erasing the bald movie version from the regular SpongeBob show. And this wasn't a coincidence. It was a result of a content firewall between Nickelodeon's show and Paramount's movie. From 2005 until 2014, elements created for the SpongeBob movie basically couldn't be used in the TV series at all. Neptune's new look, along with the new characters like Mindy and Dennis, were essentially off limits. But here's the thing, once that firewall was lifted, which was around SpongeBob's 10th season, the show finally started to acknowledge the movie. For example, King Neptune's golden crown from the film suddenly showed up as a background Easter egg in the episodes Lost and Found, and later in the episode Insecurity Guards. For the record, I've covered those 2 Easter eggs in the past, so this section isn't about those Easter eggs, it's more about King Neptune. I'm just giving you guys the story. Just because back at the time when I covered those Easter eggs, I didn't even realize all of the history and lore here. To make things even better, in the 20th anniversary special, SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout, we finally saw Princess Mindy return to SpongeBob canon, with her making a guest cameo in that special, giving us another Easter egg, and her first appearance since 2004. The creative team even released an official anniversary poster that pokes fun at Neptune's dual designs, with it showing TV Neptune and movie Neptune back to back. Right here, this poster isn't really available in high resolution, so sorry if it's blurry, but how cool is this? If you really think about it, this poster kind of implies that the 2 might actually be separate characters in SpongeBob's universe. We might have 2 Neptunes. Things were made even more complicated in the SpongeBob movie Sponge on the Run, with them literally introducing another character that's King Poseidon, but things could have been even more confusing, as it was revealed with concept art that in the original plot for Sponge on the Run, it was supposed to be King Neptune who kidnapped Gary, with him having plans to clone Gary. As you can see in this concept art right here, this is who King Neptune was supposed to become. I guess we would have gotten a live action version, but thank goodness they didn't do this because we already have 2 King Neptunes. So think of how confusing this would have been. In the episode Feral Friends, a mysterious anatomical event called Neptune's Moon causes all of the residents of Bikini Bottom to revert to wild versions of themselves. The story itself is a tongue-in-cheek homage to classic monster movie tropes, but more importantly, it's chock full of SpongeBob lore and Easter eggs. As chaos erupts and our beloved characters turn into real-world sea creatures, two notable absences are Plankton and Karen. Well, not really Karen because she's a computer, but especially Plankton. They never appear in the final episode, which made fans like me wonder what would happen if Tiny Plankton got zapped by Neptune's moon, and we got to see the real-life sea creature version of him. Well, this was actually answered for us, and it came from a deleted scene revealed in a storyboard animatic. In the cutscene, Plankton is waiting for Karen to bring him his dinner, and that's when Neptune's moon hits. He transforms into a feral, microscopic copiapod and skitters off. But when Karen returns with his meal, she mistakes Mini Plankton for a legitimate pesky bug and splats her husband before casually flicking away the gooey remains. Damn, Karen's a savage. To be honest with you, I can kind of understand why this scene got cut because it's not necessarily the most graphic scene. There's been some worse stuff in SpongeBob. I mean, especially if you've seen the episode The Splinter, but this was pushing it for a kid show. But deleted scenes isn't the only thing I want to talk about. Don't worry, there's some actual Easter eggs coming up and lots of interesting facts as well. With the town in crisis, Sandy Cheeks deliberately calls on somebody who might understand what is going on. This leads to the surprise reveal of the French narrator. And not just the voice that we hear all the time, but in person. Sandy contacts the narrator, and we can actually see him in his undersea submarine. And fun fact, this is actually only the second time that we've ever seen the French narrator on screen. The first was all the way back in season 2's No Free Rides, during this clip right here.
It means another whole year of boarding school! What happened?
Well, Feral Friends brings him back after over a decade, which honestly is pretty cool. As the scene progresses, the narrator explains that Neptune's moon is a rare event that happens once every century, explaining what's been going on here. But if you pay close attention, you'll notice that the narrator has actually gotten a costume update. In his 2000s appearance, he wore sleek modern scuba gear. But if we look at it side by side with a shot from his original appearance and this one, he's now decked out in like an old-fashioned brass diving suit. It's pretty fresh. This retro suit, complete with a round metal helmet, is itself an Easter egg, as producers have confirmed that it was supposed to bear some sort of resemblance to the Cyclops from the original SpongeBob SquarePants movie. I mean, the French narrator's new look isn't exactly identical, his helmet is a bit different, and there's some other differences, but hey, if the creators are saying it's a reference, then I'm not going to argue with them. But there's actually some more references here with the French narrator. As speaking of his submarine, the vehicle itself hides a historical reference, as the submarine he pilots through Bikini Bottom's waters strongly resembles a German U-boat from World War II. Feral Friends is also special for bringing back Patchy the pirate and his iconic pet, Potty. Patchy, the live-action pirate played by Tom Kenny, SpongeBob's voice actor by the way, was a staple of early SpongeBob specials, but they kinda did away with those after a while, and he hadn't been seen on the show for about 5 years prior to this cameo. The episode frames Patchy and Potty as observers of the Neptune's moon incident, corresponding with the French narrator from land. And this marks their first live-action appearance within the series since Legends of Bikini Bottom. Fans welcomed Patchy's return, but there's another Easter egg hidden in plain sight, or rather in earshot. If Potty the parrot sounds a bit different, it's because he's now voiced by somebody new, or actually somebody old. Doug Lawrence, Mr. Lawrence, and the person who voices Plankton actually took over Potty's voice acting role in this episode. And this is actually a pretty full circle moment, as Doug Lawrence is the person who created Potty's character as a writer. And I mean, this voice change is something I never even noticed, but it's actually happened 3 times. In early seasons, Potty was originally voiced by SpongeBob creator and legend, the GOAT, Stephen Hillenburg, before Stephen Hillenburg was replaced by Paul Tibbitt. And now, of course, Lawrence has taken on the role. So let's compare all 3 voices. Let's hear how Stephen Hillenburg sounded when he voiced the character.
Potty, what cookie dough?
Potty, no!
And now let's also take a listen to Paul Tibbitt's version of the character.
Look, Patchy, a Rolodex. Why, it's probably full of celebrity phone numbers. You don't need SpongeBob. You can call him yourself.
And last but not least, let's hear how Doug Lawrence does the job.
Okay, so we're looking for some fields then.
No, Patchy. The directions to the North Pole are in the song There Goes Santa Claus. There goes Santa Claus. There goes Santa Claus. Left on Santa Claus Drive.
Let me know in the comments, who do you think does the best job when it comes to potty? But let's talk about even more references and Easter eggs. As Neptune's moon sets and things get even crazier, Patchy and Potty have their own hilarious reaction on the surface. In the climax, an event called Neptune's Sun, the antidote to Neptune's moon, rises, and its rays revert everyone not back to normal, but to prehistoric forms for a brief time. Suddenly, Patchy the pirate is transformed into a primitive caveman version of himself, and Potty fittingly becomes a pterodactyl. This entire sequence is one giant love letter to the season 3 special, Ugh, also known as SpongeBob BC, the prehistoric themed SpongeBob episode hosted by Patchy. In this episode, Patchy daydreams about dinosaurs, and at one point wishes that his parrot was a pterodactyl, a gag that finally comes true, and that the writers finally pay off here in Feral Friends. And to make the moment extra special and even more of a clear reference, the show underscores a lot of Potty and Patchy's scenes by using the same exact background music that played throughout Patchy's caveman adventure in SpongeBob BC. It's pretty much like the same song. Like here, I'm gonna try and play it and not get destroyed by copyright. Here's the version of the song from SpongeBob BC.
I told you prehistoric times were fun. Hey, how's about I teach you kids how a caveman makes a fire with 2 sticks?
And here's the version of the song from Feral Friends. To drive this Easter egg home even more, Patchy's behavior once he becomes like the prehistoric version of himself mirrors that of the character Cavey, the friendly primitive character that Patchy thawed from ice in this special.
I called him Cavey. And he jumped in. It's okay, Cavey.
In Feral Friends, as soon as Patchy devolves, he starts grunting, stomping, and acting like a caveman himself, just like Cavey did. And honestly, it's a great multi-layered reference. And also, I know I've been saying it a lot lately, so don't worry guys, I'm gonna say it quickly, but if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I'm one of the only non-AI SpongeBob sleep channels. I'm not like Cartoonology or any of those other channels that use like AI voices and stuff. I make real content. It took me like hours to confirm all of the stuff I'm talking about, so please subscribe if you enjoyed it. And I'm just saying to my regular viewers, I'm sorry that you have to hear that every video, but it's for the new people and I love you all. But let's head into another episode with more Easter eggs, trivia, and facts. In the episode Patrick's Tantrum, Patrick Star develops a very weird problem. Whenever he hears the ringing of a bell, he flies into an uncontrollable destructive rage. Yes, even more uncontrollable than usual Patrick. The episode follows SpongeBob's attempts to cure his best pal's odd condition, and along the way it pays homage to pop culture and SpongeBob's own past. Right from the opening scene, the episode hits us with a clever musical Easter egg. SpongeBob gets covered in all of this black stuff and ends up with a mop top of hair. Striking a pose, he speaks in a British accent and says the following line.
I can still hear the ring. Go.
Now, if that made you do a double take, it's because SpongeBob is intimidating the Beatles. The mop top hairstyle and accent are a send-up of the Beatles' early days, when the Fab Four sported that signature shaggy haircut, and SpongeBob's line cheekily references drummer Ringo Starr. Also, if you pay close attention, as SpongeBob says this, a guitar riff plays in the background that closely mimics the opening of a Beatles song, the song Revolution. It's honestly a really cool surprise of a reference, essentially turning SpongeBob into an impromptu Beatle for a moment. But let's keep it going with more references. The core of this episode delves into Patrick's childhood to explain why this bell-triggering phenomenon happens. And to explain this, we get a flashback scene. We see a young Patrick with his parents, Herb and Margie Starr, at home. It turns out that whenever a bell rang to signal dinner, little Patrick would just tweak out and throw a massive fit. The story is bittersweet for SpongeBob aficionados, because it actually marked the final appearance of Herb and Margie within the series. These characters were first introduced in the season 2 episode I'm With Stupid, where Patrick pretended SpongeBob was the dumb one just to impress his parents. For many years, Herb and Margie were the canonical parents of Patrick. However, in 2021, Nickelodeon decided to launch the Patrick Star Show, a spin-off with a different continuity, and they redesigned Patrick's family. This would eventually carry over to the regular SpongeBob show. Starting with a season 13 episode titled A Skin Wrinkle in Time, Patrick's parents were retconned. that, and were replaced by new characters, Bunny and Cecil, to serve the needs of the spin-off. So Patrick's tantrum is effectively the swan song for his original mom and dad. The show doesn't draw attention to it, but knowing this context gives the flashback an extra layer. And it's kind of sad. I actually liked Herb and Margie, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, they just don't exist anymore. They were deleted from SpongeBob lore. But let's keep it going with even more references and Easter eggs. Back in the present day, SpongeBob tries a variety of wacky methods to cure Patrick's bell phobia. At one point, our optimistic sponge yells, "Through the power of friendship," and launches into a heroic motivational speech to snap Patrick out of his rage. While doing so, SpongeBob dramatically dons a superhero costume. And this time it isn't the Quickster like we've seen in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5. And if you think it looks familiar, it's because it's a very clear spoof of, Superman's iconic outfit. Another fun little reference. But as the chaos escalates, Patrick's bell trigger tantrum spreads through Bikini Bottom. Others start reacting to bell sounds wildly too. And this leads to a scene of massive traffic accidents downtown. But amid that pileup is a blink and you'll miss it Easter egg by a very special vehicle, the Bass Blaster 3000. Die-hard fans will remember this flashy speedboat from Season 4's Driven to Tears, a classic episode, where in that one, Patrick won this vehicle as a prize for being the 1 millionth person to pass his boating test. Much to SpongeBob's envy, as you can imagine. Like, SpongeBob's been trying for years and then Patrick just comes in and passes the exam. But yeah, the Bass Blaster was a sleek, high-tech boatmobile, which Patrick loved, until he ran out of gas because he thought E on the fuel gauge meant end.
It stopped working, so I threw it away. The needle was on E. I figured that must mean end.
Oh.
In frustration, Patrick abandoned the boat at the end of the episode. But I guess apparently someone in Bikini Bottom gave it a new life, because here in Patrick's tantrum, you can see a Bass Blaster 3000 right here, with it crashing into another car. It's a deep cut Easter egg, since the Bass Blaster hasn't been relevant in like years. And the implication's kind of funny. I mean, like, perhaps this is literally the same Bass Blaster that Patrick threw away, and then these guys bought it used or something, who knows? I mean, we've literally seen used boat salesmen in SpongeBob before. For example, in the episode Sanitation Insanity, we see the con man, the guy who like tricked Patrick and SpongeBob with the chocolate bars back in Chocolate with Nuts. We see him selling used cars. So maybe he sold this used Bass Blaster to this person right here who crashed it. But that's just a theory, a game theory. Thanks for what? Forget I ever did that. Let's head into another episode with more Easter eggs. I love you guys. We've talked about the TV show and the movies many times in the past, but Easter eggs aren't, my voice cracked so hard right there, holy cow, but Easter eggs and references aren't just confined to the TV show. Even SpongeBob video games often hide nods to episodes, and they're actually some of the coolest in my opinion. As a matter of fact, let me know in the comments if you'd watch an entire video dedicated to SpongeBob video game Easter eggs and facts. I feel like that would be really fun, but let's talk about SpongeBob SquarePants Super Sponge, as this is a prime example, with the game being jam-packed with callbacks to the first few seasons of the cartoon. In fact, entire levels are actually themed after episodes like Tea at the Tree Dome, Hooky, and my favorite, Rock Bottom, essentially allowing fans to play through scenes inspired by those stories. Beyond those broad strokes, the developers also slipped in some very specific Easter eggs. One of the coolest inclusions is the time machine from SB-129. In the Season 1 episode SB-129, Squidward stumbled into a futuristic time machine.
Well, if SpongeBob exists in the future, I'd better go to the past.
Well, that same contraption appears in Super Sponge, though with a twist. In this game's canon, Plankton is the one who owns the time machine, with him using it during one of the levels. The game's nods to the actual series continue in the downtown Bikini Bottom stage. As in the Game Boy Advance version of this game, as SpongeBob navigates the streets, you can spot a very distinct vehicle among the traffic. This thing right here is the snail ambulance from the episode I Was a Teenage Gary. In that episode, an ambulance was forced to rush to SpongeBob's house after Gary fell ill from Squidward's neglect.
Therefore, a shot of snail plasma must be carefully administered.
Aren't you gonna do it?
Oh, no. I'm too squeamish.
Super Sponge recreates that little ambulance as part of the background scenery, really cool. As SpongeBob progresses, he can collect power-up items, and even these are steeped in references. One power-up is none other than a pair of squeaky boots, which, yes, obviously is referencing the obnoxiously noisy boots from season 1. In that episode, literally titled Squeaky Boots, Mr. Krabs gave SpongeBob a pair of old fishing boots, originally meant for Pearl, which caused endless squeaking until Mr. Krabs just literally tweaked out and went insane.
I'll take a...
What did you say?
I said I'll take a...
Huh?
He said he was.
What?
In Super Sponge, the squeaky boots appear as an item you can pick up, complete with their trademark sound, which is another really cool reference. It's a deep pull that serves no plot purpose, but it's there to just simply reference the show. Another power-up in the game is SpongeBob's balloon from Rock Bottom. And for those who forgot, at the end of that episode Rock Bottom, a kind stranger, this red incidental character, gave SpongeBob a special balloon. Well, in the game, you can snag a red balloon that clearly alludes to that moment. And that is just this very sick. I'm not gonna lie, while I was playing through this game on my Steam Deck, I was like, yo, this is actually really cool. So like I said, let me know in the comments, should I do a whole video on SpongeBob video game Easter eggs? There is so many, guys. And there are even more references tucked into Super Sponge. For example, the Reef Blower item. This of course references the episode Reef Blower from season 1. And the Magic Shop, which was first seen back in the episode Fun, can be found in this game. So another really cool reference. But yeah, let's move on and talk about more. In the episode Near Mint Plankton, Plankton concocts a new scheme by shrinking down and disguising himself as a collectible figurine. And why? You guys know why. He wants to snag one of those delicious Krabby Patties without Mr. Krabs noticing. Very clever, Plankton. Instead though, he ends up in the clutches of Bubble Bass, who is an avid collector of limited edition superhero memorabilia. This guy is obsessed. And we're gonna get into the Easter eggs, but I gotta say, I do like how they changed Bubble Bass's character over the years. Originally, he was just this rude dude who liked pickles, but they've kind of turned him into the nerdy character who's obsessed with nerd stuff. Anyways though, this episode's premise naturally sets the stage for a literal treasure trove of different SpongeBob nostalgia and Easter eggs. For example, when Mr. Krabs cashes in on the collector craze by selling special edition Krabby Patties, the varieties on offer are a delightful deep cut from the season 9 episode Munity on the Krusty. In that earlier episode, it's actually really old now, from 2015 I think, but in this episode, SpongeBob introduced novelty patties like the Hattie Patty, a Krabby Patty that you wear as a hat. There's also the Chatty Patty, a talking patty for teens, and the Bratty Patty, a kitty patty with a backwards baseball cap.
And he's the man who brought you the double Krabby Patty, and the Krabby Patty with cheese, and the Bratty Patty for kids.
This patty's stealing my style. I'm the only one who's allowed to wear a backwards baseball cap, guys. Come on. Surely enough though, Near Mint Plankton shows Bubble Bass proudly adding a new pickle patty to his collection, right alongside his Chatty, Hattie, and Bratty Patties. The very same whimsical burgers first seen during Munity on the Krusty. This is a clever callback that rewards eagle-eyed fans. And even Bubble Bass's line, "I'll place it next to my Chatty, Fatty, and Bratty Patties," directly references those legendary novelties. It's not like they just showed them, he literally refers to them by name, so we know this is an Easter egg. But let's keep it moving, as Bubble Bass's basement itself is a shrine to SpongeBob lore. Viewers can spot a statue of SpongeBob dressed as a certain superhero. Take a look at this clip from the episode Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5, more specifically the superhero that SpongeBob turns into. This guy right here is the Quickster, and we haven't really seen him since Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5. We've seen some of the other superheroes in this episode. For example, in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5, Sandy dresses up as Miss Appear, another superhero that can turn invisible. But we've actually seen Miss Appear a couple of times since then. For example, in the episode Delivery of Doom, or in the episode Appointment TV, as you can see here. But the Quickster, we haven't seen this character for a long time, but that all changed in Near Mint Plankton. As look, amongst Bubble Bass's collectibles, there's this statue of SpongeBob dressed up as the Quickster. This blink and you'll miss it background gag firmly anchors the episode in SpongeBob's wider universe. And who knows, maybe we'll see the Quickster again in the future. I would love to see another episode where they all dress up as superheroes, but I've got more, and the Easter eggs are gonna get even crazier as we go. That way, if you guys are still awake, you haven't fallen asleep yet, at least I can keep you guys entertained. But you should be asleep already, bro. What are you doing? You got work or school tomorrow. Go to sleep. I love you. I'm trying to support you here. But anyways, here's the next episode. episode. In the episode Accidents Will Happen, Squidward feigns a workplace injury at the Krusty Krab, forcing Mr. Krabs to pamper him and triggering an over-the-top investigation. The storyline is packed with sly nods to past SpongeBob moments, so let's get into those. For starters, Mr. Krabs' solution to uncovering the quote-unquote truth behind Squidward's accident is to review the surveillance footage, using cameras that he claims to have borrowed from the airport.
What? I forgot! I borrowed that from the airport.
Now I'm gonna get to the Easter egg, but just saying, stealing from the airport is like insane. Mr. Krabs is like wild for that. I'm surprised he isn't in jail. But anyways, this throwaway line is a direct reference to the classic episode Life of Crime. In that episode, SpongeBob and Patrick learned from a hypocritical Mr. Krabs that borrowing without permission is another word for petty theft.
What about all the stuff you stole?
What do you mean?
Like that barrel.
Oh, that's where I rent me pickles from.
Are you renting the barrel too?
No,
Then you bought it.
no.
Then isn't that stealing?
All that stuff is, borrowed.
Here, Mr. Krabs hasn't changed a bit. He still acquires things like security cameras through borrowing, echoing that earlier gag and potentially making for a reference. I mean, at the very least, it's a clever bit of character consistency, but this also could have totally just been a coincidence. You know what I mean? Like one of the writers it just could have been an accident, who knows? This next Easter egg though was definitely intentional. It comes when Squidward demands that Mr. Krabs pops the barnacles on his back as part of his treatment. The sight is so gross that customers in the Krusty Krab recoil and abandon the restaurant. And as they flee, you can hear one customer disgustingly ask, "Is that the secret ingredient?" While another one mutters, "Hold the special sauce, man." This dark little joke plays on the show's long-running gag about the mysterious Krabby Patty secret formula, and it's very meta that they're acknowledging it more. I know Plankton wanting to steal it is a big plot point. You don't hear other characters reference the secret formula very often, or question what's in it, but let's keep it going. Patrick Star contributes his own goofy reference during the investigation scene. When SpongeBob brings in Patrick for expert help, Patrick babbles nonsensically, saying the following.
I needed help investigating the accident. Right, buddy?
Breakfast, Green, Finland.
Did that sound familiar? As him saying Finland is actually like a direct reference to one of my favorite episodes. Who remembers the character Doodlebob from the episode Frankendoodle? Such an iconic episode. Well, in that season 2 episode, Patrick was struck by a bowling ball dropped on his head by Doodlebob and said something very similar.
You okay, Patrick?
Finland!
Well, Accidents Will Happen recreates the joke, with Patrick once again uttering, I guess, his famous catchphrase. I mean, what's more famous for Patrick, him saying, "Finland," or him asking if mayonnaise is an instrument? Let me know in the comments. But we're almost done with this episode. I've got a little bit more though, and here's some behind the scenes details about this episode. I know I'm going on about Easter eggs all the time, but as you guys have probably noticed, these videos are about facts, Easter eggs, and trivia, with Easter eggs being the priority. But anyways, towards the end, when Mr. Krabs exposes Squidward's fraud and his lie, we get one more behind the scene Easter egg, as I mentioned. As Squidward lounges, Mr. Krabs storms off to fluff Squidward's pillow in anger. Squidward deadpans under his breath, "Oh, just fluff it," in a perfectly bitter tone. I mean, listen for yourself.
Okay, if that's all, I'll just get back to me.
Fluff it.
What did you say?
I said, fluff it.
I'll fluff him.
Well, this line wasn't in the script at all. Voice actor Roger Dumpass ad-libbed fluff it during recording, going off script and adding to the episode. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I like covering everything and it's an interesting behind the scenes detail. But let's head over to another episode. Here's another nostalgic one from an older episode, a much older episode. The reference can be found in the more recent episode though, Pat Heart Squid, and it has to do with a certain garden. Here, take a look at this.
More light cakes, please.
Did you catch it? Cause it's a special one. So back in the episode Truth or Square, as you guys seen, Squidward gets his garden, all right? And he loves this thing. And look, in Pat Hart's Squid, it reappears during this scene, which I love. I love that for my boy Squidward getting his garden back. The episode, 20,000 Patties Under the Sea, has an Easter egg in its title. For those who may not know, the title is a reference to a Julie Verne novel, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That's not the only Easter egg present in this episode, though. The con man from the episode Chocolate with Nuts is back again, and he cons SpongeBob and Patrick once more. Now, after he cons SpongeBob and Patrick, he says, "Hey, thanks again, guys." This means he remembers the characters from the last time he conned them. Another cool thing you may not have known about this episode is that Gene Simmons from the band Kiss plays the sea monster in the episode. Pretty cool. Something absolutely terrible happens in the season 4 episode, All That Glitters. SpongeBob breaks his favorite spatula, and as you can imagine, this really ruins SpongeBob's day. Don't worry though, at the very end of the episode, we get this hilarious scene of SpongeBob being reunited with his old friend, and the episode ends with everything back to normal. Now, the Easter egg in question can be found during this scene, and has to do with everyone's favorite incidental, Fred. If you're a true SpongeBob fan, you'll know that this isn't the first time we've seen Fred in this outfit, as it's actually a reference to the outfit he wears in the classic season 3 episode, One Crab's Trash. The episode, Appointment TV, has been covered many times on this channel, and that is due to it being full of Easter eggs. Like seriously, there is a good 5 to 10 Easter eggs in this episode, but today we're just going to focus on one. Back in the season 3 episode, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5, SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, Sandy, and Mermaid Man dress up as the IJSLA, and Sandy dresses up as Miss Appear and wears this costume. Well, she wears the exact same costume 8 seasons later in Appointment TV, thus making for an awesome callback or Easter egg.
He may be half a mermaid, and he may be half a man, but to us he's more than a hero. He's our mermaid man.
Back in the classic episode, Chocolate with Nuts, SpongeBob and Patrick struggle with their newly founded door-to-door chocolate bar business. That is, until they come across this Barnacle Chips billboard, which inspires them to be a little more business savvy. Well, it actually inspires them to start lying to people, but yeah, well, as crazy as it sounds, this billboard has popped up quite a few times over the years as an Easter egg, with its most recent appearance being in the episode Teacher's Pests. Don't get me wrong, this is totally a really cool Easter egg, but I do find it funny that it's just a simple billboard. Nonetheless, I love classic references like these, so I hope to see it again in the future.
Eat barnacle chips. They're delicious.
They are most certainly not delicious.
Not the way I use them.
One of my favorite classic or iconic SpongeBob episodes is Season 3's Krusty Krab training video, an episode that parodies fast food training videos from the 90s and does a very good job at doing so. Now, as a kid, I absolutely loved this episode, so I was really happy when it got referenced in the episode Appointment TV. In this episode, a rare episode of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy is going to air on TV, and SpongeBob wants to record it. So at one point of the episode, we see him set up his VHS to record, and he looks at his tape collection to tape over a tape and record the show. And it seems that one of these tapes is the Krusty Krab training video, thus making for a really heartwarming and cool Easter egg.
Sounds like a lot of...
Hoopla!
It sounds like a lot of...
Hoopla!
Sounds like a...
Hoopla! Hoopla!
In the episode Mermaid Man vs. SpongeBob, the Krusty Krab introduces a new promotional item that collaborates with Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, known as the Krusty Kids Meal. This thing even comes with a Mermaid Man toy, so you know that the superhero duo's biggest fan, SpongeBob, got his hands on one. Well, we know for sure now after the episode Appointment TV, as in the episode's intro, SpongeBob has one of the Krusty Kids Meals on his shelf. Talk about a true collector. So I'll admit that this last one is a little bit iffy, but in the episode Just One Bite, we see SpongeBob throw on these spicy reading glasses as he pages through a dictionary. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is a direct reference or not, but it seems that SpongeBob wears these exact same glasses in the episode Stanley S. SquarePants. I don't know for sure, but they're pretty much identical. Like, they are identical. Leave a comment though. Do you think they're the same glasses? And do you think that this is a direct Easter egg? Leave a comment. In the episode Bad Luck Bob, we're introduced to SpongeBob's lucky tie clip, this thing right here. And SpongeBob pretty much believes that this thing causes him to have good luck. In his mind, whenever he isn't wearing it, bad things happen to him. For example, at the start of the episode when he isn't wearing it, he slips out of bed, he gets crushed by his alarm, and even this happens. In the end, SpongeBob loses the clip and his life just falls to shambles, but as you guys can imagine, it's a cartoon and he ends up getting it back in the end. But more importantly, this episode has a bunch of Easter eggs, and let's get right into them. Here's the first one. I'm gonna play the clip and then I'll come back and explain it. You have to be a major nerd to catch this one. But if we go back to the old school episode Bubble Stand, a big plot point in that one is SpongeBob blowing bubbles, and he blows all sorts of bubbles. If you were paying close attention, one of those bubbles may have seemed familiar. In the original episode Bubble Stand, we see SpongeBob blow a duck bubble, this one right here, and a butterfly bubble. And in Bad Luck Bob, when SpongeBob snores, he blows something very similar. Here's a side-by-side of both, and I don't know, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think that this was a reference, in my opinion. And we've got more. Here's another one, and let's see if you guys can catch it. It's another callback to SpongeBob Season 1, and here's a hint, it has to do with blowing leaves. You may have caught it, but the reef blower, as previously seen in the classic episode Reef Blower from SpongeBob Season 1, returns for the first time in a while and is used again by SpongeBob. This was actually the reef blower's third appearance, and it also appeared in the SpongeBob Sponge Out of Water movie. But I'm going to be doing a video that's pretty much all about movie Easter eggs from SpongeBob, like specifically in the SpongeBob movies, so subscribe for that video in the future. But yeah, let's keep it moving. Here's another Easter egg. I'm going to play the clip and then I'll come back and explain it. Roll the footage.
My lucky tie clip is missing.
Now this isn't a one-to-one reference, and I might be reaching here, but if we go back to the episode The Chaperone, there's this clip where SpongeBob emerges from his toaster. It seems that this is referenced in Bad Luck Bob, but SpongeBob looks kinda different. I don't know, let me know in the comments what you guys think. I think that this is a reference, but I don't know. But here's a fun fact about the episode. Take a look at this clip where SpongeBob gets his feet run over by a truck.
A new freeway?
This is actually a reference to the 1961 Merry Melodies cartoon Beep Prepared, when Wile E. Coyote's feet are flattened while trying to trip the Roadrunner. Here's a side-by-side, and yeah, that's a reference, pretty cool. Next up, we've got the episode Bassword. Here's Easter egg number 1.
Old Man Jenkins has a plane!
Oh yeah.
This one is so cool. So if we go back to, I believe, season 3, we have the episode, The Sponge Who Could Fly. And in this episode, SpongeBob wants to fly like the jellyfish. And when his pants get like inflated, he actually like kind of flies. Now, there's a running gag in this episode about Old Man Jenkins and his plane, as you guys seen in the clips, all right? Well, this exact plane from The Sponge Who Could Fly reappears in Bassword.
Jet Lonesome City, here I come.
This one's like interesting, but the Bikini Bottom Station has the exact same design it had back in the Great Patty Capital. Another cool Easter egg can be found in the episode Biddy Sitting. Well, to be honest with you guys, the entire second half of the episode is essentially an Easter egg, as it features two classic characters. In the episode Chocolate with Nuts, SpongeBob goes door to door with Patrick, lying to people about their magic chocolate bars, and eventually come across this dynamic duo, Incidental 87, aka Mary, and her mother. Well, Mary has shown up a few times over the years since her debut, but her mother has been absent ever since Chocolate with Nuts, that is, until a few years ago, as she plays a major role in the episode Biddy Sitting, and it is a major nostalgia trip. Our next set of Easter eggs, or well, Easter egg, there's only one, can be found in the episode Biscuit Ballyho. In this one, Sandy's Science Scouts, these characters right here, try to raise money for a trip to Mars by selling these biscuit boxes around town. Well, Mr. Krabs, being a greedy crab, decides to get in on the action himself, stealing Sandy's idea.
Crusty Doodles. Blech. These are just stale Krabby Patty buns.
Yeah, Mr. Krabs sucks, and this whole thing leads to like a town-wide war with both troops fighting to get sales. It's a fun, wild episode that I definitely recommend, but we're not here for that, we're here for Easter eggs, and there's one I want to talk about. I'm gonna roll the clip and then I'll explain it after. Roll the footage.
All right, Science Scouts, listen up. This here business is serious as a rattlesnake bite. So let's make sure we don't mess it up. If we earn enough money, we can finally afford that trip to Mars!
This is a very obscure reference, but some of the writing that Sandy uses in her blackboard in the beginning of the episode are references to one of my favorite episodes, SpongeBob in Random Land. Particularly this K equals AZ equation and 1220, which is the exact production code for the episode SpongeBob in Random Land, which is how we know for sure that this is a reference. And let's keep it rolling. I've got another episode coming up after this with more Easter eggs. Next up, we've got Blood is Thicker Than Grease, which only has one Easter egg, but it's really, really cool. Roll that clip, guys, and here's a hint. It has to do with Plankton's family.
There's room for the whole Plankton clan!
Hello.
Like I said, I really like this one. So, back in Plankton's army, Plankton decides that he needs to team up with his family to take down Mr. Krabs. And before he actually meets them and eventually realizes that they're a bunch of rednecks, there's this scene where he imagines what they could look like. We get all sorts of different designs of Plankton's imaginary ancestors. And guess what? In Blood is Thicker Than Grease, during the scene we already showed you guys, look, several of Plankton's family members that he imagined appear in this scene. Plankton has an interesting imagination. But yeah, really cool Easter egg, guys, and let's keep it rolling to another episode. Next up, we've got the episode Chum Bucket List. And in this episode, there's the World of Friendship song. Now, throughout this song, there are a ton of Easter eggs. I'm gonna play a couple clips from the song, and then we'll start breaking down all of them. Try and see if you guys can spot any of the Easter eggs before I actually reveal them. Really cool. So during this shot right here of SpongeBob and Patrick's designs were actually storyboarded to channel the style of the first ever episode of SpongeBob. So they were actually drawn in a way where they look like season 1 versions of them. And we've got another one from this episode that happens after the song or after the montage. Roll the footage. Friendship. Did you guys catch it? So after the song, this explosion is played, and it might seem familiar because it's actually a reference to 3 older episodes. This exact same explosion clip was shown in Dying for Pie. It was then also used in The Krusty Plate, Frozen Face Off, and Neptune's Ball. And we still ain't done yet, gang. We've got more Easter eggs. Let's head over to another episode. Our next Easter egg can be found in the episode Boating Buddies. In this episode, instead of a typical SpongeBob boating school episode is all about Squidward attending boating school after getting a ticket. As you can imagine, this was all SpongeBob's fault, of course. But luckily for him, SpongeBob decides to help out, eventually leading us to this scene where Squidward does his driving exam. For a few frames, the rare incidental character Granny appears, thus making her first appearance since her debut episode, Have You Seen This Snail? Our next Easter egg can be found in the episode Potato Puff, but we need to go back for it to actually make any sense. Mrs. Puff, as always, is stressed out and defeated after yet another failed driving lesson with SpongeBob. So she decides to just give him a license anyways so that she doesn't have to deal with him anymore.
Mrs. Puff,
Thank you, SpongeBob. Congratulations. Have a nice life.
Now when she gets home, if you look on the wall, there's a portrait of the exact frame on screen. This is known as a recursive image, and it's actually referenced in the opening of the season 13 episode Potato Puff. As look, there's a portrait of the exact frame going on in the episode on Mrs. Puff's wall yet again. Our next Easter egg can be found in the episode Bottle Burglars, and it references the iconic season 2 episode Frankendoodle. In this episode, SpongeBob and Squidward accidentally let Plankton slip away with the coveted Krabby Patty secret formula. So as you can imagine, the episode is primarily focused on the not-so-dynamic duo trying to retrieve it. Well, spoiler alert, they do, and the episode has a happy ending. But if we watch closely, when Squidward turns on the Krusty Krab security footage, a drawing of Doodle Bob can be seen on the bottom of the table, referencing both Frankendoodle and Doodle Dimension. In the season 2 episode, Survival of the Idiots, SpongeBob and Patrick overhear a dream Sandy has about fighting two very popular Western criminals, Dirty Dan and Pinhead Larry, and eventually take on both personas as they play cowboys and bandits.
all right, Pinhead, your time is up.
Who you calling Pinhead?
Now this eventually results in both Pinhead Larry and Dirty Dan getting their butts absolutely handed to them, like they get their butts kicked and presumably killed, thus giving us these two gravestones with the names Pinhead Larry and Dirty Dan on them. Well, these gravestones are referenced in the episode Shopping List, as both can be seen during this scene, thus making for a heartwarming little Easter egg for all of the longtime fans like myself. Let's head over to our next episode, Buff for Puff. Of course, here's the Easter egg and what the Easter egg is referencing.
Nice show, bro!
Whoa, Mr. Krabs, looking good. Was that Larry?
Alright, if you aren't a massive SpongeBob nerd like I am and tapped into the SpongeBob universe, you might not get this one, but as some of you probably know, there's a SpongeBob spin-off show called Camp Coral. Both Moe and Craig Mamilton appear weightlifting together, which is also a reference to them being Frigate Captain members back in Camp Coral as well, so yeah. Here's Easter egg number 2 from Buff for Puff.
This was a mistake. Abandon Jim!
You can do this, Mr. Krabs. Do it for Mrs. Puff.
SpongeBob's gym outfit in this shot right here is the exact same one he wears when exercising with Gary in Gary's Got Legs. Our next Easter egg can be found in the season 9 episode Bulletin Board, and I'm actually pretty proud of it. This is a cool one. In this episode, the Krusty Krab puts up a community bulletin board and lets customers use the board for feedback. Now, this episode is actually pretty good, but it's not the plot that matters. What actually matters is this Easter egg. In the classic episode, it's literally just titled there is a gag where Patrick, or well, Patar, his distant ancestor, puts salt on his hand and tries to eat it. It happens a couple times throughout the episode. Well, it seems this is referenced in Bulletin Board, as this exact same gag happens during this scene. You can see Patrick put his hand into his mouth, salt it, and put it back in. What a cool Easter egg. Let's talk about the Patrick Star Show, specifically the episode Bummer Jobs. In this one, the Patrick Star Show delivers a flurry of SpongeBob callbacks. Just to give you guys some context of what this episode is about though, it's pretty much about Patrick and SpongeBob looking to get a job. Patrick wants to find his purpose in life, and this turns into him looking for a job. We see their struggle of going through different types of day jobs. For example, they work as grocery baggers at a grocery store and unfortunately get fired. From here, they look for another job. As they pick themselves up, still enthusiastic, they see an old lady struggling to paint her fence. Now, if we rewind back to the episode Idiot Box, there's this scene, and it's a very iconic one where SpongeBob uses his hands to draw a rainbow and says the word
Imagine
imagination.
Well, this is referenced like 20 plus years later in Bummer Jobs, as when SpongeBob and Patrick go to help that old lady, he does a very similar gesture. I love this so much. You guys know I'm like a massive nerd when it comes to the Steven Hillenburg era. I always ramble on about it in these videos, so any reference to, you know, a season 1, 2, or 3 episode, especially Idiot Box, is gonna warm my heart. And we've got more. Who remembers the episode Sailor Mouth? We've talked about this one many times before, but in this episode, Patrick and SpongeBob learn to swear, and they're taught not to. But the main thing here, as you guys know already, is whenever SpongeBob characters swear in SpongeBob, they make this sound effect.
There are 13 bad words you should never use.
Don't you mean there are only 7?
Not if you're a sailor.
Wow, 13.
That's a lot of bad words.
Well, at one point in Bummer Jobs, listen to what the porpoise says, as it sounds very similar to bad word number 11.
Let me go, you little...
Hey, watch your language!
Did you hear that? It happens closer to the ending of the episode, and that is 100% a reference to Sailor Mouth. So that's 2 classic episodes referenced in one The Patrick Star Show episode. People like to talk smack about The Patrick Star Show, but this is really good. Like, this is a good sign that the writers actually are passionate and know what they're talking about. But yeah, I've got one more Easter egg from this episode, and it happens in this next scene. In a hilarious segment, Squidina rolls out a TV and says it's time for some noir sense.
While they take a break, let's all watch another hard-boiled episode of Noir Sense.
Suddenly, we're now in a black and white detective parody where Fred the Fish is being interrogated. And if you listen to what he says, it's a very clear reference to, I mean, his entire character. This is the whole point of Fred the Fish at this point in the show, is to scream the following. This is a brilliant send-up of the running gag, my leg, usually heard whenever Fred gets hurt in classic episodes. For example, here's like a couple of times in older episodes where we hear him say it. Here's a little compilation, a little montage.
My leg! My leg!
Thank you!
My leg! My leg!
It is crazy how many things they hide in these SpongeBob episodes, how many references there are to older episodes, and I love it. Next up is Insecurity Guards. In this one, SpongeBob and Patrick become watchmen at the Bikini Bottom Museum of Everything, and their security antics wreak havoc on the exhibits. But throughout all the museum chaos, a refined figure from SpongeBob's past is hiding in plain sight. If we look at this one scene early on, the camera pans across a crowd of museum goers. And if you're a true SpongeBob fan, you should be able to catch who's in this shot. Roll the footage.
Now, rule number 1 of guarding is don't let visitors touch stuff.
No touchy, no feely. Aye, aye.
For those of you who don't know or missed it, this guy right here is Monty P. Moneybags. And if we rewind all the way back to season 2, there was the episode Artist Unknown. Monty P. Moneybags is a wealthy art collector, and Squidward wants to impress him. But as you guys can imagine, this does not go very well.
Good day, sir. My name is Monty P. Moneybags.
The world-famous art collector?
One and only. I'm on a shopping spree, buying art for my new museum.
Your search is over. How about this one? I call it bold and brash.
More like belongs in the trash.
Sorry, I must have missed that one.
Monty Moneybags hasn't appeared in an episode in like 20 plus years. His last and only appearance was back in 2001's Artist Unknown. So to see him again in season 12, silently touring a museum as a background character is a deep cut Easter egg that really caught my attention. And there's more. If we head back to the 2004 SpongeBob SquarePants movie, we were introduced to this version of King Neptune. And as you guys know, his crown was a major aspect of that episode, with it hiding his baldness. This thing was very important to him, but it seems that even years later, it's still missing as a look.
Hey, Patrick, I think that guy's trying to...
Touch that painting!
If we pause right here, we can see that it's still missing, and it can be found in the museum as one of the things that the robbers stole. This is a really cool Easter egg. I mean, that movie came out in 2004, so considering that this episode came out in 2019, it shows that the writers were really paying attention. Also, a fun fact, in this episode we were introduced to this painting right here, and we would not see it for a long time after this. It seemed that originally it was going to be exclusive to this episode and security guards. But if we fast forward years later to the Camp Coral episode, Revel Revolution, it actually appears in this scene right here.
No one wakes us up like you, and I should know. I'm your biggest fan. Yeah, I go. I have all your albums.
Here's a side-by-side, and that's definitely the same painting, right? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. On top of that painting, there's a couple of other paintings in this episode that seem to be references. For example, this one painting here with Mr. Krabs and the Krabby Patty, it's actually a reference to The Creation of Adam, a painting made by Italian artist Michelangelo.
What you doing?
I'm cleaning centuries of dirt from this priceless painting.
Going too slow.
I think I know how we can speed things along.
Or there's also this painting with Mrs. Puff right here, and it's actually a reference to the Mona Lisa, obviously, one of the most famous paintings ever. And there's actually a bunch of other cool references throughout this episode to famous statues and paintings, but we can't cover them all. So let's head over to another episode with more Easter eggs. I'm talking about Jolly Lodgers. Here's Easter egg number 1. It's easy to miss, okay? But when Squidward's bus arrives at Hotel Halibut, Jim's limousine from the original Fry Cook can be seen outside of the hotel, making for an awesome reference. I loved Jim the Fry Cook. He's from the original Fry Cook. There's another Easter egg in this episode, or I guess I should say Easter eggs, because it's like a ton of Easter eggs in one. There are numerous references to the episode I'm Your Biggest Fanatic. In I'm Your Biggest Fanatic, we learn that SpongeBob is obsessed with Kevin C. Cucumber, who's like a famous jellyfisher, and he attends a jellyfishing convention where we see Dr. Manowar and the Jelly Spotters. And all of these characters reappear in Jolly Lodgers. So the continuity of SpongeBob's universe definitely gets like messed up a little bit in this next episode, Kitchen Sponge. Or maybe it was fixed, depends on who you ask. In this Camp Coral episode, young SpongeBob volunteers to help Plankton, who runs the camp's mess hall, and the goal is for him to help Plankton improve his menu. Disaster strikes in a scene that is very similar to the show's very first episode, Help Wanted. Plankton's kitchen is overrun by a ravenous swarm of fish campers. A chaos that directly references the anchovy feeding frenzy from Help Wanted, the 1999 plot where the Krusty Krab was pretty much attacked by hungry anchovies. Here in Camp Coral, it's a fun reversal. Plankton experiences the same sardine-style stampede that Mr. Krabs once did, a really cool nod to SpongeBob's origin episode. Later, Plankton decides quantity is the answer and concocts an army of Krabby Patty creatures to serve everyone. And this is another reference, as these living patties are nearly identical to the patty monsters from another SpongeBob episode, Dream Hoppers. Here's a side-by-side, and it's not exact, but it's pretty close, and I think this is a reference. In fact, the concept of sentient Krabby Patties causing mischief first appeared in Dream Hoppers, and Kitchen Sponge brings it back, showing Plankton unleashing a legion of googly-eyed burgers. Now I'm hungry. All of this, though, is light compared to this episode's ending, which has a very big moment for SpongeBob continuity. One big debate at this time was how Sandy could have been a part of Camp Coral, right, which is a prequel series to SpongeBob, when there's an entire episode in season 1 of original SpongeBob showing how Sandy and SpongeBob met. And in that episode, it's very clear they've never met before.
So, what's your name?
Sandy?
Well, in the climax of Kitchen Sponge, when SpongeBob inadvertently invents the Krabby Patty's secret formula and nearly changes history, Sandy steps in by literally calling her future self. In a sci-fi twist, adult Sandy appears via video to her younger self, congratulating her on a successful plan to keep the formula out of Plankton's hands.
Affirmative, little cheeks. This is Big Cheeks receiving you from the future. The formula burned out before Mr. Plankton could nab it. Now it can be safely rediscovered in the future. I knew sending you to Camp Coral was the right thing to do.
Okay, so this is important. That clip right here implies that Camp Coral exists in an alternate timeline, where Camp Coral is still canon and is still a prequel, but because it's in an alternate timeline, it explains how SpongeBob meets adult Sandy in the original SpongeBob show, but also already knew her back in Camp Coral. This is a very complicated one. I hope you guys got it, but yeah, it's really cool. By having future Sandy orchestrate the events, the show winks at viewers and suggests the following. The original series and Camp Coral now diverge into separate universes. It's pretty cool, but as you guys know, let's head over to another episode. In the season 6 episode, Krabby Road, Plankton creates an entire band just to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula. Now, it's a good episode with some great moments, and if we watch closely during the episode's opening, we can spot an interesting season 3 Easter egg. In the episode No Weenies Allowed, SpongeBob struggles to get into a new bar called the Salty Spittoon due to it only accepting the toughest of the toughest fish. SpongeBob is forced to wait in line with some of these tough fish, but this isn't the last time we've seen them. In the opening of the season 6 episode Krabby Road, they make their return, thus making for a fun little season 3 reference. They're in jail now, so I wonder what they did. In season 14, we got a really cool episode, Creep Away Camp, which technically was a crossover episode with Camp Coral, where SpongeBob and the rest of the gang get stalked by this mysterious figure while they attend a Camp Coral reunion.
It seems different somehow.
Looks like they changed the name to Kaka.
It's especially cool because this episode really puts Camp Coral into the normal, like regular SpongeBob canon. It isn't just a random show now and is directly referenced in SpongeBob, regular SpongeBob. But anyways, this episode has a ton of Easter eggs and a ton of trivia, so let's get right into it. So to kick things off, take a look at this opening shot, and there's like 4 Easter eggs in this one shot. And I'm gonna tell you guys, you might not catch them right away as they're Camp Coral references technically, but it's still cool, and this is all the same SpongeBob universe. So, but yeah, I'm gonna play the clip and then I'll explain. Like I said, 4 Easter eggs in one shot. For one, we have Moe's possessed intertube. This was originally in the Camp Coral episode Boo Light Special. Here's a side-by-side. Sandy's helmet from Helter Shelter, the Squidward-shaped rock from the episode In Search of Camp Nudist, and Patrick's shelter from the episode Squishery. Like I said, those were Camp Coral references, so you might not have caught them, but if you're a fan of OG SpongeBob, you'll definitely catch this next one. Let's take a look and I'll explain afterwards. Okay, so let's pause for a second and let's rewind back to the episode One Crab's Trash. This is an iconic episode, and in this episode we were introduced to these things, owl clams. Remember these things as they pop up again in Creep Away Camp, making their first reappearance in like over 20 years. These things only ever appeared in the episode One Crab's Trash, and as you can see, they appear here, devouring the invitations, making for a really cool reference. And here's another Easter egg. This one is really, really cool. So as you guys seen, Mr. Krabs has a pet worm, but this isn't the first time we've seen him. This right here is Mr. Doodles. We've seen him for the first time like 18 years ago in the episodes Sandy's Rocket. Here's his appearance in that episode, and in the episode As Seen on TV. Here's also a shot of that. But he appears for his first time in a long time in Creepaway Camp, and he's very, very cute. I want a pet worm. Would you guys get a pet worm if you could? Let me know in the comments. But back to Easter eggs, and the producers of this episode really went all out. There are a ton of Easter eggs, and a lot of them are really, really like interesting and kind of obscure. For example, in this scene right here, where Pearl gets laughed at by these girls. These girls aren't just any random characters. I'm gonna play this clip and they might seem familiar.
Hi, girls.
Hi, Pearl.
Are you guys coming to my totally coral birthday party tomorrow?
I don't know, Pearl. Is this gonna be as totally coral as last year?
Yeah, well, if we rewind back to the episode Whale of a Birthday, which we just did with the clips I just showed you, those same girls that laugh at Pearl in Creepaway Camp are her same friends from A Whale of a Birthday, which is another episode that's nearly 20 years old. Like, who thought of this? What cool attention to detail. And there's more. Take a look at this scene where all of the different cast members go on this bus to go back to Camp Coral. There's something in the background that is a reference to one of my favorite classic SpongeBob episodes. Roll the clip.
Suppose that makes sense.
Wait for me, dudes!
Did you guys catch it? So this sign right here, which reads, "You are now leaving Bikini Bottom," is actually from the episode Rock Bottom, and it's the exact same sign, which is really cool. Rock Bottom isn't even in this episode. It's just an awesome reference to that episode. And I've got even more. Take a look at this scene, which takes place at a party. There's a certain group of fish here in the crowd, and they're a reference to an older episode. Who remembers the nudist colony of fish from In Search of Camp Nudist?
Actually, I'm only partially nude. I like to think of myself as a bridge.
It's even stranger than I imagined.
Boy, fish sure look weird without clothes on, huh?
This is another Camp Coral reference, and this entire group of fish makes a cameo at the party right here. And here's a side-by-side. It's kind of cool seeing their 3D design and then seeing their 2D designs. Now, there's actually a bunch more in this episode, but I'm gonna save them for another video. But for now, let's head over to another episode, guys, with even more Easter eggs. You don't wanna miss any of the Easter eggs I have coming up. Our next episode is a really good one from season 9. Like, I can't even believe that this episode released all the way back in 2016, which was 10 years ago, but the episode is Lame and Fortune. And this is a SpongeBob episode with an unusual premise. Fortune cookies in Bikini Bottom start accurately predicting the future, which Plankton naturally tries to exploit. And I mean, I can't blame him. Imagine if you could get a fortune cookie and know your entire future. That'd be very convenient. Well, as SpongeBob and Plankton duel with fortunes, the episode slips in numerous visual gags and callbacks that reward hardcore SpongeBob nerds just like me and you. I mean, if you clicked on this video, you're just as much of a SpongeBob nerd as I am. But yeah, early on, Plankton gets accidentally squished under a customer's boot.
I have had enough!
Now, when he peels off the sole, his gooey splat is actually shaped like the old Nickelodeon Splat logo. And this might have been an accident, but I think that this one's intentional considering that SpongeBob is a Nickelodeon show. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, but this orange splat shaped logo was Nick's iconic branding from the 1980s through to 2003. So it's very likely that the animators snuck in a cheeky network reference. And I love these types of references, as it's the kind of background joke that only fans with sharp eyes and nostalgia will actually catch. I mean, I remember watching this episode as a little kid and I didn't even realize that this was an Easter egg. Nonetheless though, it's really, really cool. And let's keep it going, as the fortune cookies themselves set up a darkly comedic sequence where Mr. Krabs imagines his own death.
You will die.
Oh, I'll miss you, Daddy. But I really can't wait to spend all your hard-earned money on shoes.
Me money!
In Mr. Krabs' daydream of his funeral, the show slips into very deep-cut references, or I guess you'd call these cameos. First is Grandpa Redbeard Krabs, the old pirate grandfather of Mr. Krabs. Redbeard hasn't been seen since the 2008 episode Grandpappy the Pirate, nearly a decade ago. In that episode, he came to visit, and Mr. Krabs pretended to still be a swashbuckling pirate, just to impress him, as Redbeard thinks that Mr. Krabs should be a pirate. He doesn't want him to own a restaurant.
What kind of ship are you running here? Just a second. I've smelled a lot of stinky things, but nothing smells stinkier than a lie.
Redbeard's quick appearance among the funeral attendees in Layman Fortune is a reward for dedicated fans. For one, it confirms that Redbeard is alive and well in canon, and actually cares about his grandson. It's good to know that he'd go to the funeral. But yeah, also, a fun fact, this was only Redbeard's second ever appearance, making it a true deep cut. But there's actually more going on here. I wonder if you guys already spotted it, but don't worry, Cartoon Corey's got you covered. As during that same funeral, we can spot one of Mr. Krabs' 3 little nephews. These nephews, a nod to classic duck nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie from DuckTales, were seen extremely briefly in the episode Stanley S. SquarePants as part of like a quick throwaway gag. Like they weren't like actual characters, they were just there for a joke.
I even turned down me own 3 adorable nephews.
But Uncle Krabs!
They solve mysteries. How go solve the mystery of why you didn't get the job?
In Layman Fortune, one nephew, I don't know what happened to the other 2, can be seen right here, and it's such a blink and you'll miss it Easter egg that casual viewers would probably have no idea who this kid is. This was one of the character's first appearances in like 9 years, proving that somebody on the crew remembered that one-off joke and decided to include it. But let's keep it moving. As Plankton pursues the fortune cookie scheme, there's another sly cameo. In the chum bucket, we see a large green sea cucumber's leg among the crowd of customers, lured in by Plankton's fake fortunes. Well, that leg turns out to belong to Kevin C. Cucumber, the pompous leader of the Jelly Spotters Club from one of my favorite episodes and a classic banger episode, I'm Your Biggest Fanatic.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi. What is your question?
Hi, Kevin.
Kevin hadn't actually appeared in the main series since that season 2 appearance, so this was technically his first return in nearly 15 years. The show only gives us like a quick shot of his lower body for some reason, I don't know why, but we know it's him because of staff confirming it, but also if we do a side-by-side, we can tell it's his legs. At the time Layman Fortune premiered, this cameo was a huge deal. Kevin was a fan favorite jerk character who many thought was long forgotten, but since then he does have more regular appearances, with him even being like a main character on Camp Coral. But yeah, at the time, this was a really cool Easter egg. Fittingly, Layman Fortune was also a milestone for the series' production. This episode debuted a new HD opening sequence, and with it, a new technique, as it's actually the very first time a SpongeBob episode used a CGI model of Bikini Atoll, the tiny palm tree island seen in the show's opening, in place of the old filmed footage. For years since 1999, the opening shot of the island was a real static image shown at the start of each episode, but by 2016, with the transition to high definition, Nickelodeon switched to a crisp computer-generated island model for the intro. This meant Layman Fortune's premiere featured a subtle visual change, with us getting this cool 3D shot of the island. Now, the reason was likely to modernize the look of the show, and it definitely accomplished that. The Patrick Star Show spin-off is essentially a mini sketch comedy showcase, but it doesn't skimp out on SpongeBob references, Easter eggs, and meta humor. In Late for Breakfast, Patrick misses his family's breakfast and scrambles to fill his belly and airtime by hosting a cooking segment on his makeshift variety show.
Cook at 1,000 degrees for 1 second. It's ready!
Now, this whole sequence is a goldmine of Easter eggs and sly nods. As Patrick raids the house for ingredients, he tosses just about anything into his casserole, if that's what you want to call it, including a pair of delicious, I'm sure they would taste great, right? These right here, dirty sneakers. Longtime SpongeBob fans will recognize those beat-up black high-top sneakers, as they look identical to the shoes Plankton gave SpongeBob as part of his elaborate plan 20 years ago, like 20 plus years ago. Welcome to the Chum Bucket.
Wow!
So now do you have everything you need to make some Krabby Patties?
Well...
So seeing them here is really cool. Now, I will say this is most likely just a fun prop reuse by the artists, but it could also have been an intentional Easter egg, and if so, you know, props to the team, because this is a cool one. But if we keep it moving, as Patrick's chaotic cooking continues, with him adding stinky socks and used napkins, delicious, his little sister Squidina encourages him to work with what he's got. Eventually, Patrick cooks the monstrosity at 1000 degrees for 1 second. But more importantly, the real Easter eggs come when the casserole is done, and Patrick's show rules its credit sequence. In universe, these are fake vanity credits for Patrick's imaginary production crew. Like, as you guys know, a big element of the Patrick Star Show is that it's like a show within a show. But back to the point, every name on this scrolling fake credits right here is a pun on a real SpongeBob production staff member. For example, the credits list Mark C. I'm not gonna try and say his last name, but this is actually a spoof of a real person, executive producer Mark C. And I'm not gonna try and say his last name again, but here's both names side by side, and you can see this is intentional. There's also Vincent Walla, clearly referencing SpongeBob veteran Vincent Waller. Andy Badman stands in for writer Andrew Goodman. That one's actually funny. Louis K. Shire for writer Look Brookshire. And there's a couple of more, but you guys get the point. Another interesting Easter egg from this episode is a specific line that Patrick sings. Take a look at this clip and it might be familiar to you guys. Like I said, you may have heard that before, and it's because this is like a classic gag for Patrick. He said the same line back in the episode Shanghai from season 3, right here. And he also says a similar thing in the episode You Don't Know Sponge. If we fast forward to this scene right here, and I'll play the clip.
It's Patrick!
In the episode Laundro Madness, SpongeBob and Squidward take a mundane errand, washing clothes at the laundromat, and turn it into a wacky monster movie that gleefully cleans up on references. The episode brings back the wash, the same bikini bottom laundromat that Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob, and Patrick visited during their night out in Midlife Crustacean.
Hello, gang! SpongeBob's back!
Let's party!
Any port in the store? Wait a minute. This is a laundromat.
I guess the writers in season 16 really like this episode, Midlife Crustacean. It's a good episode, man. Remember when Mr. Krabs stole his own mom's underwear? That's a story for another day, but let's keep it moving. Die Hard fans will remember that in that season 3 episode, the trio's big evening of fun ended up turning into doing laundry at the wash. As you guys have seen in my more recent videos, and even in this one, this seems to be a big trend in recent seasons, is them taking locations or characters from older episodes and making them a part of the world of SpongeBob instead of them just being one-off locations. For example, this wash place was just a one-off location in Midlife Crustacean, so it's cool that they're making it like a part of the lore. But let's keep it moving. As the episode progresses, and after an intense cycle, SpongeBob triumphantly presents Rube's freshly cleaned hat, and in that moment, he strikes a familiar pose. His face is the spitting image of the goofy, anticipatory grin he showed in the Krusty Krab training video episode, when waiting for the narrator to reveal the secret formula. It's the same wide-eyed, toothy face full of excitement, and fans of that classic training spoof will instantly recall SpongeBob quivering with that exact same expression. Here's a side-by-side, and yeah, like you can see it. This is a really cool reference, but of course I've got more. The mundane soon turns monstrous as an overloaded washing machine comes to life, assembling itself into a sudsy giant. Informing its body, it grabs odds and ends from around the laundromat, and one of those items had SpongeBob fans cheering Patrick's high-heeled boots. Oh yeah. The washing machine yanks a pair of women's stiletto boots, and we see that they're the exact same that Patrick donned in this iconic scene from the original SpongeBob SquarePants movie. The monster uses them as one of its makeshift legs. It seems Patrick's fashion choice was memorable enough to haunt Bikini Bottom's laundry. And speaking of familiar faces, as the climax unfolds, none other than Fish Cowboy from the episode Boating Buddies saunters into the wash.
I think we all learned a lesson here today, and I wrote a song about it.
In Boating Buddies, this country western fish randomly appeared. Roll the footage.
I never will understand these city folk.
Laundro Madness brings him back for an encore, as at the end, as everyone celebrates defeating the laundry monster, this cowboy strums a guitar and sings a twangy tune called Wash and Dry. It's the same character and same gag, now hilariously repurposed for a laundromat victory song. It's an Easter egg that could easily fly under the radar, but for those who remember the random cowboy singer, it's a really cool surprise to see him return. It's random, but it's really cool. Finally though, the showrunners couldn't resist one more tongue-in-cheek reference. Throughout the episode, a bright orange and blue detergent box is visible right here, and its design and color scheme are unmistakably evoking from the famous Tide laundry detergent brand. And I mean, come on, this one's obvious.
Tilly, be nice. Leave that starched shirt alone.
By the end of this episode, the laundromat is saved, Squidward's shirt is clean, albeit with some battle scars, and the audience is left marveling at how many jokes and references were put in this episode. I mean, from bringing back the wash, an old location we haven't seen in years, to referencing SpongeBob's first movie, Laundro Madness is a great episode with lots of nostalgia. Let's do the episode Ma and Pa's Big Hurrah, another season 14 episode, which is all about SpongeBob's mom and dad making their first reappearance in a couple of episodes. That isn't the Easter egg though. So this one's debatable, but this seems to be a reference to the season 5 episode Roller Cowards. In this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick want to ride a new roller coaster at Glove World, the Fury Fisto Pain. It pretty much like kills people, but they really want to ride it. Now, in Ma and Pa's Big Hurrah, as you guys saw, when SpongeBob and his parents are at Glove World, they skate on a roller coaster that looks like pretty much identical to the Fury Fisto Pain. It isn't confirmed to be an Easter egg, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think this is an Easter egg. In the episode Making Waves, Mr. Krabs desperately needs a vacation away from the Chum Bucket's madness, which makes sense. I mean, he has to deal with Plankton doing all sorts of ridiculous stuff all year long. So he sets off on a luxury sea cruise, only to discover that Plankton has also booked the exact same trip. And worst of all, they're actually forced to share a cabin due to there being a mix-up on the cruise. As Mr. Krabs explores trying to find his room, the episode greets fans with a gallery of background Easter eggs, and they're all really cool. Like for instance, a wanted poster on the bottom floor right here features a very rare character, none other than Iron Eye, one of Mr. Krabs' old Navy buddies from the season 4 episode Shell of a Man. Iron Eye hasn't been seen since that 2005 episode, where he was a part of Mr. Krabs' Tough Guy reunion. In that story, SpongeBob, disguised inside Krabs' molted shell, met Iron Eye at a Navy reunion, where Iron Eye did this to Mr. Krabs, or well, I guess he technically did it to SpongeBob.
Fire the torpedoes!
Later in the episode, Iron Eye also revealed that his intimidating metal eye was actually made of formica, while he and the other macho sailors confessed their own insecurities. Well, seeing Iron Eye's face on a cruise ship poster and Making Waves is a deep-cut reference, especially for nerds like me, who watched the show growing up, as it playfully implies Iron Eye might be up to no good, hence the wanted part. It'd be cool to see what the dude's been up to after nearly 2 decades off screen, but let's head over to another Easter egg. Real quick though, guys, I just want to say I'm one of the only non-AI SpongeBob sleep channels on YouTube, so please subscribe. I'm like a real person. This is my real voice. You can actually probably hear that I'm kind of sick right now. I just played a show. Here's a picture from my concert. That's me right there. So my voice is a little shaky, but please subscribe. I'm more showing that so you guys know I'm a real person. I'm not one of those crappy AI cartoon channels. So yeah. And if you're wondering why I sound so sick, that's why I got sick after the show. But anyways, back to the Easter eggs. Entering the cabin hallway, Mr. Krabs fails to notice a pair of creepy grinning toddlers holding hands in the corridor. And if they look familiar, that's because they are. Longtime viewers will recognize this spooky duo as a nod to the toddler from the episode Escape from Beneath Glove World. In that season 12 episode, SpongeBob and Patrick encountered a little boy, notably the youngest inmate in Glove World's underground jail, who kept wandering off and leading them on a chaotic chase throughout the crazy theme park. It seems the Making Waves team brought back that character model not once, but twice, as they appear here as eerie twin children, standing ominously in the hall. This moment is more than just a SpongeBob reference, it's also a horror movie homage. The image of the two kids holding hands, and them being twins, is a direct spoof of the ghostly Grady twins from the 1980 film The Shining. In fact, the show originally storyboarded an even stranger sight in this scene, a fish in a bear suit trying another fish's shoes. This very random and bizarre clip is actually another reference to the same film and a very bizarre moment from The Shining. However, in the end, the episode went for the twin scene instead, cutting what I just played you entirely from the episode. But there's actually more, as to drive the parody home, the cabin Mr. Krabs ends up in is room 237, another reference to The Shining, more specifically the infamous haunted room 237 from the Overlook Hotel, a location from The Shining. It's a clever multi-layered Easter egg, as within SpongeBob's universe it brings back minor characters, like the Glove World Toddler, but it also plays homage to a classic horror film movie. So whoever wrote this episode, or whoever put this in here, is definitely a big horror movie fan. But let's keep it going, as there's more Easter eggs in this one episode. Once Mr. Krabs and Plankton realize that they must share a cabin, both of their worst nightmares, they spend the cruise trying to one-up each other in various shipboard activities. This montage is packed with quick cameos. For example, at one point, the rivals hit the pool, and as Mr. Krabs wipes out at the end of a wild water slide ride, dragging Plankton along with him, let's take a closer look at the poolside crowd. As if we zoom in right here, we'll notice Squilliam Fancy Son, Squidward's wealthy, rich arch rival, lounging luxuriously by the pool, which is very fitting. You all probably know who this is, but for the few of you who don't, Squilliam hasn't appeared physically in the main series for years, with his last major appearance being all the way back in season 7. So seeing his distinctive unibrow in the background of this shot is a treat. For those who don't remember him though, let me jog your memory. Here's a clip of him from his most infamous episode, Band Geeks.
Squilliam Fancy Son from band class?
I hear you're playing the cash register now.
Yeah, that guy. And honestly, he needs to appear again. I think he does actually in season 16. But for now, let's stay on track of this episode Making Waves, because I've got even more Easter eggs. As later, when Mr. Krabs and Plankton attend the ship's dance club party, yet another veteran character makes a subtle comeback. In the throbbing neon atmosphere, we can see a DJ Fish spinning records in the background. This guy right here, I'm zooming in, and older fans will actually recognize him as the DJ from the Thug Tug scene in the original 2004 SpongeBob SquarePants movie.
DJ, time for the test.
This tall sunglasses wearing DJ was ordered by the Thug Tug's owner, Victor, to crank up the Goofy Goober song in an attempt to expose any bubble-blowing babies in the bar. More specifically, SpongeBob and Patrick. Now, for the most part, the DJ's only appearance had been in this movie, but that was only until now, as in Making Waves, he's finally been incorporated into the series, with him being seen in this scene right here. It's a blink and you'll miss it Easter egg, as he's only seen briefly when Mr. Krabs and Plankton hit the dance floor, but it's a satisfying one, as it turns out the Thug Tug DJ has found a new job. He's got a new gig. Now here's the thing with this episode. Not every planned reference made it to air. For example, Making Waves had a particularly dark visual gag that got cut during production. In an earlier storyboard, Krabs and Plankton's rivalry escalated to them riding on firework rockets, which ultimately crashed into a family on deck. I mean, considering that they could have literally just killed that family, this joke was deemed too morbid by Nickelodeon and was removed from the final episode. It's very understandable, but let's head over to another episode, guys. I've got more Easter eggs in another episode. The episode Mall Girl Pearl from season 9 has a bunch of really cool Easter eggs. In this one, Pearl Krabs is determined to snag her first job at the Bikini Bottom Mall. a mission that turns into a chaotic tour of the mall in hidden SpongeBob lore. As Pearl bounces between stores trying to get hired, the background fills up with familiar faces and references for longtime fans. For example, as Pearl passes by Scorched Coral, this store right here, keep an eye out for the Diggery-Doo player from the Season 2 episode, Something Smells. If you're wondering who the heck I'm talking about, it's this character right here.
Hi, Tambourine Girl. Hi, Timbali Man. Hi, Didgeridoo Player.
It's been like 20 years since we've seen this character. That all changed in Mall Girl Pearl. The character would also pop up in the Season 13 episode Sea Urchin and Snail Fail during this scene, making his second appearance in like 20 plus years.
Look at all those people.
I know he seems like a random background SpongeBob character, but he's a very rare character. Heading back over to Mall Girl Pearl, there's other random characters that pop up in the background that we have not seen in a long time. Other rare characters. For example, Carl, the overzealous manager from the episode Selling Out.
Hi, gentlemen, I'm Carl. I'll be your new manager.
New manager?
I think you'll find working at the Krabby on Mondays to be both a learning experience and an enjoyable one.
Yeah, that guy right there, he's spotted twice at the mall. Once outside the Bangles and Dangles store, and later in the food court right here. Carl's cameos nod to his infamous stint running Krabby Mondays in Season 4, so it's pretty cool to see him pop up again, even though it's also very random. But there's more. At one point, we see this graffiti door during the fight between Pearl's bullies and the crazy grandmother. As we can see right here, we can see Squidward smells and Krabs is a blank, a direct throwback to this scene from the SpongeBob episode Sailor Mouth.
Squidward smells. Good. Krabs is,
Do you kiss your mother with that mouth?
well, sometimes, but not recently.
Even SpongeBob himself only shows up in a blink and you'll miss it moment. He has just 3 quick cameos, which is kind of crazy that he was making cameos in his own show, but I guess it makes sense. This episode is all about Pearl. And there's more background cameos as well, by the way. If we look over here, we can see Mermaid Man, Barnacle Boy. If we head over to this scene, we can see Bubble Buddy. And if we take a look right here, we can find the health inspector from the iconic episode Nasty Patty.
I'm going to need you to bring me one of everything on the menu.
Excellent choice, my darling. Coming right up.
Whoever wrote this episode definitely knows their SpongeBob lore, because it's really cool to see all of these characters that we have not seen in a long time popping up. One of my favorite SpongeBob episodes is Season 3's Just One Bite. In this episode, Squidward tastes his very first Krabby Patty, and though he lies and claims to hate them at first, by the end of the episode, we find out the truth. SpongeBob reveals that there is a patty vault hidden in the Krusty Krab that contains hundreds of Krabby Patties, and in the ending scene, we see Squidward break into this place to get his fix. Now, aside from this episode, we haven't really seen the Patty Vault since. However, it does appear in the episode Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 6 in the form of an Easter egg. It's only on screen for a short amount of time, but it can be found during this scene. One of my favorite SpongeBob episodes is Season 1's Bubble Stand, where SpongeBob and Patrick do their best to introduce Squidward to blowing bubbles. Squidward really struggles at first, and boy is it hilarious to watch. But the episode's best moment, in my opinion, is when SpongeBob rotates his body to demonstrate and repeats the sentence, "Bring it around town." I mean, come on, if you're a longtime fan, then you know exactly what scene I'm talking about. It's iconic. Well, in the opening of the episode Mimic Madness, this iconic scene is referenced, thus making for a really cool Easter egg. SpongeBob does the exact same thing and even says, "Bring it around town."
Whoa, you tell him, Mr. Krabs. Bring it around town. Yeah!
It's in the episode Momageddon, another Season 14 episode that's actually really good, just saying. But I'm gonna play the clip, and I want you guys to pay attention to Squidward's pose, as this is the Easter egg, alright? Roll the footage.
I want my Bobby!
Did you guys catch it? If not, don't worry. I do think that this one is kind of a reach. I'm only including this one because the internet, the SpongeBob community, has really decided that this one is an Easter egg. But supposedly, the pose that Squidward makes when he, SpongeBob, and Mr. Krabs whimper on the floor is a reference and is identical to the one he did in the episode Immunity on the Krusty right here. Also in the episode Out of the Picture in this scene. But guys, it's time to end this video off with a bang. Like I said, I saved the best for last. Here's our next episode. The Season 8 episode, Move It or Lose It from 2012, presents a high-stakes premise. Bikini Bottom passes a law that 2 restaurants cannot operate within 100 feet of each other. Well, unfortunately for Mr. Krabs and Plankton, the Krusty Krab and the Chum Bucket sit a mere 99 feet apart.
So, which one of us is gonna get bulldozed?
That's for you two to decide.
I'm not going anywhere. You're the one who's moving.
You are moving!
Oh, no!
You have 24 hours to decide which of you moves.
This absurd dilemma, one of the few Krabs vs. Plankton showdowns not centered on the Krabby Patty secret formula, drives the rivals into a frenzy, with each trying to save their own restaurant and one-up each other. Like, they really get committed to this, and you can't blame them. You know, they don't want their restaurants to get shut down. Though, I'm sorry, Plankton, I don't think people would even notice if the Chum Bucket got shut down. You don't got no customers. I love you though, Plankton. As SpongeBob scrambles to collect petition signatures to save the Krusty Krab, the animators sneak in some clever in-jokes amid the chaos. When Plankton gets desperate and resorts to paying folks to sign his petition, there's a close-up of the signature sheet right here, and sharp-eyed viewers may notice that if you read the names on Plankton's petition, they're not random at all. They are, in fact, the names of SpongeBob's real-life production crew members. For example, you'll spot signatures like Steven Hillenburg, SpongeBob's creator, rest in peace the GOAT, Vincent Waller, a longtime writer and producer, and other names scribbled among the list. This Easter egg doesn't affect the story, but it's a delightful treat for nerds like me. Just like all the other Easter eggs here, you know, some of them are kind of minor, like this one, but I want to mention every single Easter egg that I can find, alright? Cartoon Corey's the Easter Egg Hunter. Mr. Krabs has quite the misadventure in the episode My Two Krabses from season 12. It all starts with Mr. Krabs sneaking in a tanning session without his shell in his office before a date with Mrs. Puff. It's crazy to think that these two have been like on and off dating since like season 2 or 3, but anyways, eventually SpongeBob walks in to deliver some ice cream, but instead of finding Mr. Krabs, he only finds this.
Mr. Krabs! Are you okay? Speak to me!
We're gonna get into the Easter eggs, don't worry, but you guys need the context of the plot for them to make sense. But from here, SpongeBob literally assumes that Mr. Krabs has melted.
Oh, look at that! And right before his big date tonight. What a shame.
A date? Oh, must love die meltily in my arms too!
In a panic, SpongeBob and Patrick take the empty shell, determined to basically bring Mr. Krabs back to life, Frankenstein style. Meanwhile, the real and shellless Krabs realizes his shell is missing and rushes home to find something or anything to wear, really. And this is where we can find a really cool Easter egg. As he flings open his bedroom closet, and in this frantic scene, the show sneaks in a treasure from Mr. Krabs' past. I'm gonna play the clip and let's see if you guys can spot the Easter egg.
Okay, we knew that spare is in here somewhere. Aha!
Let me explain. So among the tossed outfits is this bright pink flower print cuddly crab uniform, and this is specifically from the episode Bossy Boots, a season 2 episode. Longtime fans will recall that in this episode, Mr. Krabs briefly transformed the Krusty Krab into the cutesy cuddly crab. Well, actually, it was more that Pearl did this. Mr. Krabs was kind of just forced to do it, and as you can see in this clip I'm about to play, they had to wear these exact same outfits.
Only a fool would wear that.
Avast, ye shipmates! Don't these just shiver your timbers?
Seeing this ridiculous attire resurface here, only to be deemed unwearable by Mr. Krabs, is a delightful Easter egg. It confirms that Mr. Krabs hung on to the old uniform, and it adds a layer of irony to his wardrobe scramble. But the closet gag doesn't stop there. Mr. Krabs also tosses out a chicken costume, the same one that SpongeBob once wore in the episode Cephalopod Lodge. Here's a side-by-side, and yeah, I think that that's a reference. And we've got more. Let's head over to another episode. So in the world of SpongeBob, it seems that everyone wants a pet snail, with them pretty much serving as dogs or cats. Heck, even Squidward gets one at one point. Remember Snelly? Well, one snail that is often forgotten is Mrs. Puff's pet snail, Annette. She made her first appearance in the season 3 special, The Sponge Who Could Fly, but sadly has not been seen much since. Well, this all changed in the season 12 episode, My Two Krabses. During this scene, we can see that Mrs. Puff has a picture of Annette in her house, thus making for a neat little reference. appearance. I do wonder though, what happened to the snail? Like, does Mrs. Puff still have her? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. In the episode Nasty Patty, another classic SpongeBob episode, this episode is a banger. SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs are confronted by a health inspector who wants to try everything on the menu to see if everything is up to the health code. This guy's name is Health Inspector Yellowtail Andy, and to be honest, we haven't seen him much since this episode. He has appeared a few other times, but he's usually a different color. But recently, in the episode A Place for Pets in season 13, he made a big return, and he looks how he used to look, the way he looks in Nasty Patty. This was a really cool reference, and it's awesome to see such an iconic character return to the show, even though it was a fairly minor cameo. But anyways, here's a clip of both appearances with audio.
I'm going to need you to bring me one of everything on the menu.
Fresh sludge pudding.
More diet red tie.
Some fried
Please, gentlemen! Leave me to finish my work in peace.
Hold it right there, Krabs.
Oh no! The health inspector!
Oh yes, the health inspector.
Next up, we've got two Easter eggs from the episode very strangely titled Necro Nom 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 Icon. And as weird as the title is, the episode's plot is actually really cool, with SpongeBob getting a magical spell book and him just causing all sorts of chaos. It's a good episode, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Here's the first Easter egg. Let's see if you guys can catch it.
Speaking of customers, stop bothering Mom!
Okay, so who remembers the episode Squeaky Boots? In this episode, Mr. Krabs is being a cheap father and decides to gift his daughter a pair of squeaky old boots. Pearl is obviously unhappy about this, but anyways, these squeaky boots are referenced as, look, when Mr. Krabs is kicked out of a fish's cafe, he's kicked right in his big old butt with one of those squeaky boots. I definitely think it's the same boot.
Whoops, pardon me.
What a polite little hunk of cheese.
This one's blatant because it's not like some cameo or a character hidden in the background, but if you remember the episode Scavenger Pants, we were introduced to this lady right here, the Sand Witch. Now, we haven't seen her in a long time. It's been quite a while since we've seen this lady, but that all changes in Necro Nom Icon, whatever the episode's called, because look, she actually has a very prominent role in the episode. Really cool. We've heard Squidward jam out on his clarinet many times, and in the episode SquidBob Tentacle Plants, we hear him play a very specific tune.
Good morning, Squidward. And isn't it a lovely morning? Why are you playing the clarinet on your way to work?
Well, this song seems to be referenced 2 seasons later in the episode No Hat for Pat, as when Squidward plays the clarinet, he plays the exact same track he performed in SquidBob Tentacle Pants, thus making for a possible Easter egg. They might have just reused the same clarinet track, but it also could have been a reference. We don't know for sure. Now, I'm going to show more clips, but before I do, I just want to say thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. Seriously. If you're new, make sure to subscribe. Anyways, here's those clips.
Oh, that horrible noise! Let's get out of here!
Good morning, Squidward. And isn't it a lovely morning? Why are you playing the clarinet on your way to work?
The episode Pablum Plankton puts a spotlight on our favorite one-celled villain and peppers the story with references that you guys are going to love, spanning SpongeBob's history and beyond. Premise is already tongue-in-cheek. Plankton accidentally wins a cutest baby contest and becomes the mascot for a popular baby food brand. The opening scene finds Plankton in his lab, concocting explosive chemicals. When he overhears SpongeBob and Karen, I don't know why SpongeBob is at Plankton's house by the way, but he overhears his wife and SpongeBob giggling over a certain something. And this is where the first Easter egg comes in. To Plankton's horror, they're paging through his baby photos.
I was never adorable. These photos have gotta go.
You were such a cute baby.
Now, here's the thing. This image and all of these different images of baby plankton that Karen shares are drawn in the exact same way that baby plankton was drawn back in the season 5 episode Friend or Foe, making for some really cool continuity here, especially considering SpongeBob is a show that is very lazy with continuity sometimes. In other scenarios, they probably would have just done an entirely new design, but if you look at side-by-sides right here, you'll see that it's like almost identical, meaning the animators deliberately pulled from Friend or Foe's character model sheets. It's possible the artists reused it as a handy asset, but I don't know, it also kind of feels like an intentional Easter egg to me. Pretty cool, but let's keep it rolling and continue this episode. Plankton, of course, is mortified by the baby photo display, but the humiliation isn't over. SpongeBob, endeared by Plankton's cuteness, enters one of those baby pictures into the Baleen baby food contest. Shockingly, Plankton wins the contest. Actually, it isn't very shocking, I'm being rude. Look at these baby photos. He's a cute baby, but he wins the contest without even knowing it. And suddenly, he's thrust into fame, with him becoming the new face of the baby food brand.
Blipping butt cracks!
Buy some Baleen baby!
Now eventually, when SpongeBob and Plankton arrive at the contest awards ceremony, we get a look at the event's host, and it's a familiar character that's gone through a bit of a character redesign. This right here is the announcer fish. Longtime viewers should be able to recognize this character, but you might not be able to due to the character redesign. But to jog your memory, he's the same unnamed announcer who's popped up whenever Bikini Bottom holds a competition or an event. From the Goo Lagoon surfing contest in ripped pants,
there goes SpongeBob! Ripping his pants again.
To the snail race in The Great Snail Race.
Seriously, I'm just a fan. I was on my way to my seat, the door was open.
Hey, what are you doing?
No.
Sorry about that, folks.
However, observant fans also noticed this character design had been updated. In the earlier seasons, as you just saw, the announcer fish was a short, lilac-colored fish with black hair, and he'd wear this outfit as you can see here. But in Pablum Plankton, he appears taller and is a completely different color. He's like light green now, sporting a gray suit and a purple tie. The announcer fish declares Plankton the winner of the cutest baby contest and hands over an enormous prize check, $1 jillion. But yeah, this was a fun fact I kind of wanted to point out here, that they completely changed the fish's design. Here's a side-by-side, and I don't know why they did it, but they did it. Keeping it going though, becoming a baby food mascot is a dream come true for Mr. Krabs. However, it's a nightmare for Plankton. This leads to a brilliant series of references to Plankton's long-standing fear of whales. Now you're probably asking, Cartoon Corey, how is this an Easter egg? This is just a random thing that Plankton's scared of whales. It isn't actually very random. This is actually like a running character trait of Plankton. Fans will recall that Plankton is terrified of Pearl, Mr. Krabs' whale daughter, and whales in general, a character trait that we first seen in One Course Meal from season 7, where Mr. Krabs realizes that Plankton is for some reason scared of Pearl and takes advantage of this, dressing as a whale and scaring Plankton any chance that he gets.
Call off your daughter, Krabs! Call her off! Stay back, whale! I'm privy to what you do to organisms like me. I've seen those documentaries!
This also happened in the episode Plankton's Intern. In this one, Pearl actually interned at the Chum Bucket, and Plankton spent the whole time just tweaking out, convinced that she wanted to eat him. And this in itself, by the way, is an Easter egg, as in like real life, whales eat plankton. That's why Plankton's so terrified of her, is like, that's just how it goes in real life. If you're a plankton, whales are going to eat you. So this is a fun little like real life gag right here. Not a real life gag, but you know what I mean. This is a scientific joke right here. But yeah, in Pablum Plankton, this entire thing is referenced. For example, once Plankton realizes his face is on a baby food jar for whale consumption, he's horrified in this scene right here.
Baleen baby food is made of 100%
Gold? What the heck is gold? Plankton!
One other thing I noticed during this episode, by the way, is that a very rare character makes another reappearance. And it takes place when Plankton's at the grocery store. As if we look over here and we zoom in, we can see that Squilliam Fancy Sun makes another cameo. Lately, a lot of his appearances have been more background ones, and they're very blink and you'll miss it, where it's not like he has any dialogue, he's just literally chilling right there in the background. But yeah, it's cool to see him again, and like I said, I want him to have like a full-on episode soon. But as this episode continues, eventually, Plankton Plankton's anxiety drives him to sabotage. In a very dramatic and darkly funny turn, he steals all of the different baby baleen mascots and toys and drags them out to the desert to bury them, hoping to free himself from the contract. And it's here that this episode drops one of its wild Easter eggs or references, and it's especially weird because it's a joke that only an adult viewer would catch. As SpongeBob and Plankton dig a grave for all of the different toys, you can see in the background a striped RV with 2 lawn chairs set up beside it, an unmistakable recreation of the makeshift desert lab from the TV drama Breaking Bad. The RV's coloring and placement, plus the folding chairs, make this reference crystal clear. It's an edgy nod to a very non-kid-friendly TV show, but also just saying Breaking Bad is one of the best shows I've ever watched, so I guess it's pretty cool to see it. In the episode Pardon My Wand, another one from season 16, by the way, let me know what you guys think in the comments about season 16. I feel like there's been some really good episodes this season. But yeah, in this episode, SpongeBob comes into possession of a misplaced magician's wand. And of course, as you can imagine, SpongeBob doesn't give it back. He proceeds to cause absolute magical mayhem across Bikini Bottom, just like he does in this clip right here. Roll it.
Gary, did you redecorate the living room while I was out?
This episode is jam-packed with rapid-fire gags, as SpongeBob accidentally transforms and enchants everything in sight. And many of those gags are sly callbacks to SpongeBob's past antics. The first Easter egg appears on stage, including a very large snail with a bushy brown body. Longtime fans may recognize this creature as the elephant snail from the episode Don't Feed the Clowns, a one-off character from that episode. In that episode, the elephant snail was a circus animal that roared like an elephant and balanced on a beach ball. Well, Pardon My Wand brings the elephant snail back for an encore, making for a really cool Easter egg, as this character has not been seen since, and I don't think he's going to be seen again for a while after this. But yeah, as the episode continues, SpongeBob inadvertently casts a hiccup spell on himself, and this is where another Easter egg comes in. The uncontrollable hiccups SpongeBob makes throughout the scene might sound exactly like you've heard them before, and that's because the audio recordings of SpongeBob hiccups are literally reused from the episode Hiccup Plague. In Hiccup Plague from season 12, SpongeBob was afflicted with a citywide contagious hiccup outbreak, and Tom Kenny's ridiculous hiccup sounds in that episode were apparently so perfect that Pardon My Wand lifted them wholesale for this magic mission. Here's the Pardon My Wand version. And here's the Hiccup Plague version. And yeah, as you notice, they're like literally the exact same sound. Again, this might be a reference, but this might also just be the team being lazy. Tom Kenny is very old now, guys. He's aging, and honestly, if you even listen to his voice in the most recent SpongeBob movie, you can hear the age. So I imagine that they save certain sounds that he has to make so he doesn't have to redo them when he comes into the studio. That's just my theory, but who knows? As SpongeBob gleefully skips through town wielding the unruly wand, Pardon My Wand turns into a rapid montage of magical callbacks. For example, SpongeBob accidentally transforms a couple's boatmobile into a gigantic orange sea snake. If it seems familiar, it's because that very same slithery creature appeared in the season 14 episode Squidiot Box, when Squidward's imagination turned against him. If we look at a side-by-side, I'd say that these two are the same snake. They're the same color, and yeah, I think it's the same character. But the surprises continue as SpongeBob prances past familiar locals. For example, he skips by the exact same bench from the episode Something Smells. Here's a side-by-side, and yeah, I think they're the same. I mean, this old bench is drawn and placed exactly as it was in that season 2 episode, making it a little piece of SpongeBob history plunked into the background. Moments later, SpongeBob twirls past the ice cream parlor from the episode Hall Monitor. Here's another side-by-side, and it's definitely the same. And yeah, longtime viewers have seen this ice cream shop multiple times now. It's where SpongeBob caused mayhem as a Hall Monitor, and where Patrick got severe and comical sunburn back in the episode Sun Bleached. So its presence here further cements the idea that all these episodes share one connected lived-in world, a point that I've been pushing for the past couple of videos. Finally, Pardon My Wand caps off its reference parade with a brilliant deep cut. In the mayhem, SpongeBob SpongeBob accidentally shrinks Squidward, very similarly to the way he did back with Mermaid Man's belt. But yeah, this leaves Squidward tiny in his own garden. As if on cue, the same cockroach from the episode Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4 appears, towering over Mini Squidward and proceeding to rough him up.
Huh? Why is everything all tiny?
This is a direct homage of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4 from season 3, making for another really cool reference. Okay, so let's talk about the season 16 episode, Pardon My Wand, as this episode has a ton of Easter eggs and they're all really interesting. But first, let me give you guys a little bit of context. That way the Easter eggs actually make sense. But yeah, in this one, SpongeBob gets this magic wand right here. And I mean, just think about it for a second. This is the same dude that when he became hall monitor at school, started walking around thinking he was a cop causing car accidents. SpongeBob and having the ability of magic is kind of a bad mix. It's an entertaining mix, it makes for a really good episode, but you guys know that SpongeBob is about to cause freaking mayhem.
What if we just cure your hiccups instead? I'll get you some water.
Huh? That'll fix it.
Okay, now you guys know the premise of the episode and we can get into the Easter eggs. And this first one is a really good one. You do have to be a SpongeBob nerd to get it. I'm gonna play the clip and let's see if you guys can spot the Easter egg, and then I'll come back in and I'll explain it. Okay, so who remembers the episode Hocus Pocus? This episode is like nearly 20 years old. It came out in 2007 in season 4. And in this episode, we were introduced to this place, the 1942 Wizard Street. And we were also introduced to Mr. Magic.
But what if I told you that you could change all that with the magic of magic?
Yeah, this guy right here. Now, we haven't seen Mr. Magic or that castle I was just talking about since Hocus Pocus, so it's been like nearly 19 years. But randomly, somebody decided to include it in this new SpongeBob episode, Pardon My Wand, right here. But it's a little different now. It seems that it's been redesigned and rebranded as Mr. Magic's Magic Shop. Like, it actually has a name now. And it seems to be a magician's performance venue. Also, we don't see Mr. Magic in the episode, but he cameos on the sign right here. Here's a side-by-side, and yeah, really cool. I'm gonna move on to another one, but I really want to highlight this one's really random. Hocus Pocus isn't some iconic episode. It's a great episode, but it isn't like Eels and Escalators, the board game from Sailor Mouth. It isn't like that appearing in a newer episode. This one means that whoever wrote this episode went back and they did their research. However, this next Easter egg is a reference to like an iconic episode, Tea at the Tree Dome, which was Sandy's first ever appearance back in the day.
So, what's your name?
Sandy. So, what do y'all call yourself? I'm SpongeBob!
Canonically, they've completely changed this now, especially with Camp Coral, as Sandy literally appears in Camp Coral, despite being seen literally meeting SpongeBob for the first time in Tea at the Tree Dome. But anyways, I want you guys to remember this orange bird right here that appears in this bird bath in Tea at the Tree Dome, as it's probably going to help you spot this next Easter egg. Roll the clip.
We gotta handle this enchanted doohickey real delicate like.
Yeah, this cutie reappears in Pardon My Wand for the first time in a long time. But it's really cool to see this character that's really never appeared since Tea at the Tree Dome reappear in this episode. It's very clearly a deliberate reference, and I freaking love these.